We're going to share from Linux to other systems. And one reason I like this hands-on because it makes you exercise your networking skills, your system commands, and a few other things. And fortunately, if you look at the assignment, I have found a link that walks you through the instructions because it's kind of confusing the first time through. So if you look at the assignment down there in the network configuration, network practice activity. Oh, that's not it. Sorry. The network configuration details. There we go. And I'll bring that over here. In the description of this homework, I have given you a link to the explanation of how to share it from Linux to Windows. It has to do with a program called Samba. And let's look at the reason it's called Samba is because of this server message block. Server message block is the protocol used to share files between nodes on a network. Server message block, SMB. It's used by Windows to share files. You don't have to know a ton of things about server message block and the actual details of it, but generally think of the computer that's sharing the files is the server. It's serving files, and there's some authentication going on. That's a big deal with security. You determine who has read and write accessibility to these files. Many companies, as a security measure, will disable file sharing everywhere, and that's actually done in the classroom. But occasionally it comes in handy. So I've learned how to turn off not allowing file sharing in Windows. But file sharing is done through this particular protocol called server message block. And they say it's, give you a little history of it, when it was invented. There's another thing related to it called Common Internet File System. It's similar to Samba, but it's not exactly the same. It's compatible with some of the earlier incarnations of SMB. Symbolic links, that's shortcuts. There's variation of it. And what we're looking at is Samba, because it's similar to SMB. Samba is what we're using under Linux. It's a re-implementation of the SMB protocol and Microsoft extensions to it. So basically, you can share with Windows systems if you have Samba running on your Linux system. So let's just see how that all works by first going to this link here that just shows me how to do it. And as we're using it, we'll realize not only do we have to have Samba working, but we have to let it in. We have to configure it. So let's look at this little link. We'll redirect to it. I'm kind of curious to see how long it takes to redirect. Although it is talking about Red Hat Linux 8 or CentOS 8, I know that Oracle 9 is compatible with, or the next version of CentOS, so I am happy to follow these instructions. And along the way, you'll learn about Samba. So let me go connect to my Oracle system, and we'll walk through these commands and think through all the concepts here. What we're going to do essentially, and maybe should I draw a picture? See if they have a picture. Oh, they don't give you a picture. Well, let's go ahead and we'll walk through the installation. Now they use DNF for installation. I use Yum for installation. But let's see if DNF works too. So I'm going to leave this up here, and I'm going to open up a window to my Oracle 9 system. So I'm going to go connect to the server over here. This is the VMware server. Actually, I'm going to use my local one. I've tested it on that one. I'm going to do it all over again. I forgot that I have one local on this machine. I'm going to start VMware Workstation and see if mine has disappeared like someone else's has. I'm going to start VMware Workstation. I could do it on the server on the rack downstairs, but here is Here's my Oracle Linux 9. I'm going to start him up. I'm going to do it on this guy. Whenever I'm learning something, if I've done it once, I want to do it again completely from scratch. Try to do it from memory. I'm going to get logged in here now. Log in as my student. And let me zoom in a little bit here. Let's see, can I zoom in?
Maybe. This work on Ubuntu?
Yeah, this will work on Ubuntu too. The commands are slightly different in terms of the installation, but after that, everything's pretty much the same. So I'm gonna putty into this because then I can change my font a little bit, make it a little more readable. So let's see what my address is. IP address 172.16.2.128. I'm gonna putty to that because I can adjust my font size a little easier that way. So I'm gonna run up putty to that machine 172.16.2.128. So I'm starting up putty, and I'm gonna connect to him through putty. Hopefully he has SSH running. Let's see. Uh-oh. It looks like he doesn't have SSH running. I'm going to enable SSH because I want to be able to putty in and increase the font size. So I'm going to do sudo yum install open SSH-server. Only so I can putty in and let you see what I'm doing a little better. Didn't realize open SSH server was not running. Let me try putty again now. Let's try connecting again. See if it lets me in this time. Oh, it's not letting me in yet. It says open SSH server is already installed. I wonder if it's not letting it through. Am I giving it the right address? Let me check my address. IP address 172.16.2. Oh, I gave it the wrong address. That's why. Oh, it is 172.16.2.128. Uh-oh. It's not letting putty in. Let's see if it's a fire. Let's make sure that open SSH server is running. Sudo systemctl start open SSH. I forget the name of the service now. Is it SSH? Maybe it's just SSH. No. How about SSHD? There it is. Now, let's see if it will connect. Still not connecting. That's what happens when you run Linux. Little problems come up that you don't expect here. Let's see, what is going on? What does he like? I might have to do that tiny font if I can here. One more try. Open SSH. Open firewall. CentOS. Making it started. Status. Stop. I'm going to enable it through the firewall. Here we go. Let's see if this does it. Open, let's see, sudo firewall command. Add port equals, well, it should be port 22 TCP, and make that permanent. And let's make sure to reload the firewall and make sure that it has that rule. Firewall command dash reload. All right, now one more try here. Still not letting me connect. Well, let's see if this guy is actually on the network. Let's check my network settings. Let's see, he does have an IP address 172. Well, okay, let me see if I can adjust my font size here. I don't know if I can. I've never messed with my font size on my terminal. Advanced, let's see, preferences. All right, profiles, theme, global, whoops. No, terminal. Man, let's see if I can do a control plus. You would, no, control plus doesn't do anything. Well, sorry about this. I wanted you to be able to read this font. I can't explain why Putty's not letting me through. Well, I guess I'm just going to go with the small font for now. Let me just try one thing. Let me just change the resolution on this monitor. It kind of messes up recording sometimes. Let's see. That's what I'm worried about. Well, we'll just go with this. Now where was it? Oh yeah, we want to install Samba. Let's make sure it's installed in this machine. I do sudo yum install Samba. And let's see what happens. Oh, this one didn't have Samba installed yet. So then I see this. And I'm going to click yes for yes. Let's go ahead and install Samba. Samba is the powerful, basically, file sharing service that you can enable under Linux. It goes through the install using yum. Now in the instructions, I don't know if you noticed, in those instructions that I was showing you, the command in the help for how to install and configure Samba showed you using DNF to install Samba. Well, DNF may work as well, but I've just gotten used to using Samba. Let's see if DNF works. Let's do sudo DNF install Samba. It should say already installed. Let's see if DNF works. Yeah, so DNF will also work for installation. I've used Yum, the Yellow Dog Update Manager, just because I've used it long before DNF, but that's another way to install software. Just like under Ubuntu, it's apt install. Under CentOS or Red Hat, it's a slightly different software manager. That's no big deal for us because Samba is the same in both cases. Okay, so Samba is installed. How do I know if Samba is installed? I can go over to cd etc/samba, and ls I see configurations files there. That's my first clue that Samba is installed on that system. So far all I've done is run Samba or install Samba and then go to the etc folder to see what's there. And the reason I changed directories over to here is because I want to edit that configuration file, because now is the time for me to decide what's going to be shared. Just like we had to choose a folder to be shared under Windows, I'm going to create and select a folder to be shared under Linux. I'm going to check one more time on my preferences. I wonder if I mess with the profile, if the profile will let me choose my font size. Let's see here. Yeah. What's that?
It's not working.
Oh, well, they'll come check. I'm going to create a profile and see if it lets me change my font size. Ooh, it gives me a terminal cell size text. Come on, where's my font size? Here we go, custom font. There we go. I'm going to go with custom font. There we go. Let's go. Yeah, monospace is a good font. And we'll go larger size. Where's my size? Here's my size. There we go. Okay, since I couldn't do it from Ubuntu, or from PuTTY, maybe I have to start a new terminal for it to show new window. Didn't get any larger. There we go. Now I choose a new terminal. Now it'll be more readable. Okay, so where are you, Louisa? Are you running Oracle? Is it running?
Yeah.
Okay, and you have a terminal. Sudo yum. Yum install Samba. Did you do that?
Yeah.
And what did it say? Enter the password. And for me, it's gonna say, oh, it's already been installed, there's nothing to do. Let's see what it does for you. Oh, because you do not have permission in the sudoers file. Did you make a student user when you installed your Linux, or did you make a root user when you did the install? You made a user Louisa, but you didn't give Louisa admin privileges. So we need to log in as root somehow. So you're logged in as Louisa, and try typing SU. Okay, and now check in the password that you gave when you installed the system. Okay, now you are root. Now you're able to do all root. So you can't be Louisa when you're doing system calls. It's all because way back at the install, there's that one little check mark, make this user administrator. You didn't do that for a reason. But that's no problem. Just SU means let's become root while I do all this stuff. So you don't have to do sudo anymore because you now are running as root. So now you can do the yum install Samba. And now it should go through and say, are you sure? Or do this. That's the security part of Linux. If you're not an administrator, it doesn't even let you try to become one with a sudo.
So mine says that it failed to download the metadata.
For trying to install.
So I said sudo yum install Samba.
Yeah, it's not getting to the internet. Can you get to the internet from your system? Just make sure. What's your IP settings?
Oh,
IP address or not do that?
oh, well, it must mean I don't have internet.
So go. What's your network settings? Is it bridged or NAT?
Should be bridge. I'm sure. Bridge.
Try reboot and maybe or turn off and on your network. Looks like your network is not on.
I don't know.
Click on that and the wired on. Somewhat.
Got it.
It was off. So
Okay.
that'll
Okay.
break everything. Yep.
Okay, so now this should work.
Yep. There we go. Yeah, little problems like that, and those are the kind of things that you don't see until you're messing with the system. Oh, the network got turned off, and we don't know why. That's another question. It should have been enabled, but now that network's on, we've installed Samba. Okay, now that I have figured out how to make my font larger, now let's see if I can make my screen larger. Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna go pwd, and I am in home student. I'm going to do a cd etc Samba. I hit the SA and hit tab. And the reason I'm over here again is because I'm going to work on these files, and it's more convenient rather than typing it in a long path when I edit them. Remember, these files are here because I did the yum install Samba. Now, I'm going to edit the smb.conf file, but just in case I break something, this is something you always want to do when you're working on a system. Sudo, or if you're, I'm gonna be like Louisa. She had not made the Louisa user administrator, and then because of that, in order for you to do root things, commander things, and you don't have to put sudo in front of anything anymore, is just say su. That means make me super user. Now, I don't have to put sudo in front of anything anymore, but I'm much more dangerous because anything I do, I'm doing with the power of root. So if I actually run a script that can do really dangerous things, I'm going to do really dangerous things. So I am still in etc Samba, but now I'm root, and I don't have to put sudo in front of anything anymore. And the little prompt reminds me of that. When you see that little pound prompt, to me that's always, hey, I'm being really dangerous, I better be super careful. So because I'm planning to make changes to the SMB file, as this installation instructs me to, which I'm going to put over here on the side, this installation instructs me to now do this. Now that I have installed Samba, now I want to do this. I want to enable it, and it has some nice explanation along the way. What this basically means is I am enabling file sharing. So even though I've installed the software, I'm not actually running the file sharing service. I have to turn that on myself. So I'm going to skip the sudo because I am root right now, systemctl. I am enabling the service called Samba, and I'm saying enable it now. And here are the two services that I want to enable, SMB and NMB. And it gives you a little explanation up here, the SNE and SNE NMB demons. I don't like that word in Linux, but it's been there forever. Those are background processes. That's the name they've been given from the start of Linux. They basically handle the services running Samba. So not only do we edit and install the software, we are manually enabling it. Unfortunately, I only do this one time. This is the same thing as going into Windows and making a service to be automatic start. So basically I've told it to enable Samba and allow it to start automatically every time I reboot. Now, we're not done yet. Now we need to let Samba through our firewall. And the firewall is different in Linux, much different dealing with the firewall in Linux than in Windows. It's kind of scary. Here's how we do it. We basically run this command right here. Well, let's take a look at this command they did. Yes.
Could you help me real quick with the super user thing?
Just su enter.
Right. So I did that.
And then the password you gave to root when you install.
Yeah. It's not.
Can you do sudo and then a command? Does that let you do that?
Like
just do sudo ls. Okay, so you don't have to do this su. Go ahead and do sudo space passwd space root. And now give it the password that you want for root. And type it again. Okay. Now try su again and see if that password works. There you go. So
perfect.
if you weren't able to do sudo, you basically locked out of your system. So, but now you've been able sudo, you can do a sudo, and now you can su. So you can log in as root, be dangerous because you don't have to put sudo in front of anything anymore. Okay, so you're in, and did you run that command then? Enable. This basically enables the services, and now we want to make sure your firewall lets Samba through. First of all, we'll check the status of Samba by doing, just like the command they show, firewall -cmd -- info -service space Samba. Basically, you're asking the system, tell me what you understand about the Samba service. I hit enter, and it shows me, oh, I did a typo. Fire, I forgot the E, and I can use my arrow keys. I add the E to the fire word. There we go. So it's showing me that Samba is using 2 ports. It's strange, it's not using the same, it's not showing the same output as this one. So, and I don't think that's a problem, but now I want to tell the firewall, let everything that Samba uses through the firewall. So I do sudo firewall command, firewall, and let's see, -cmd, -- permanent, meaning make this a permanent change, add -service equals service equals Samba. Remember, these instructions are all over here, right here in the discussion of the homework. You can have that page up as well. That'll take you there. Here are the instructions that I'm referring to. So I can do this basically saying, and the explanations here are pretty helpful, make the service, or make the firewall allow Samba through. Just like on Windows, when you install, when file sharing is enabled, it will, or if it's not enabled, you have to make sure that that firewall port is open. And just to make sure, we'll do the, actually I didn't need to do the sudo because I realize I can do then firewall command -- reload. And what they say here is make sure it's permanent and make sure that when I reload that it's reloading all the settings in the firewall. Basically, make sure the firewall settings are saved. Now, let's just see if the firewall, if Samba is running and it's being let through the firewall using that firewall command again. Firewall command is very powerful in every system. Sometimes it's a slightly different command. List -services. Let's see what services it is letting through the firewall. And notice SSH is being let through the firewall, but I don't know why it is not working for me. But I see Samba is also being allowed through the firewall. Cockpit is a special software that lets you manage your system over a web page.
So did we make it so Samba has its own port now?
Yeah, Samba by default has a port 139.445. I can see that right here. So basically we're saying, since Samba is using these 2 ports, let's make sure the firewall lets them through. That's what this is doing.
The firewall could stop something?
Yeah. Even though the service is running, the firewall might not let you through. And that's what I thought was happening with SSH, that SSH is not being let through, but I can see the list services is supposed to be being let through by the firewall. There might be something else going on, but I'm not going to debug that right now with SSH. But Samba is supposed to be working because it shows Samba as a listed service under the firewall. So I am allowing that service, and what this does is I don't have to keep naming my processes. I can just say, or naming my ports, I just say, let whatever port Samba allows, let it through the firewall. Okay? Now, let's make sure that with even that change we've made, let's make sure that we can do the reload again. You can do this as many times as you want. It's not going to hurt anything. Nice reload. Yeah. You can do that as many times as you want, just to make sure. Okay? Now, I see Samba listed. Now comes the part where we actually configure the share. Remember in Windows, we went over to the folder and we said properties? Well, and we created a folder that was going to be shared. That's what we're going to do now. And they show a folder. They're using a global, well, they're going through the Samba configuration file. Now, I do an ls. I'm over here in the Samba, etc Samba folder. Remember, to get there, I do cd/etc/Samba. Remember, whenever I say slash under Linux, that means the / I'm in there. That's my working directory. Since I'm going to make a change to smb.conf, I'm going to make a copy of it so I can always go back. So I'm going to go cp for copy, samba.conf, and I'm going to copy it to samba.conf.orig. That's the standard nomenclature that every Linux manager at sysadmin uses, the original version of the smb.conf file. Now I can make changes and not worry that I can't get back to the original. Always, that's something super important whenever you're making, especially the first couple times you're doing changes, make a backup of what you're going to change. You will be so happy that, hey, when something broke, someone will come accuse you of breaking something. You say, okay, let's go back to the original. Here's just to prove that I didn't break it. Here's the original before I made those changes. But be very diligent. Make a copy of anything you're going to edit before you make an edit. And even keep the original in a special place. It's just in case you need to go back. Sometimes I'll do this. If I'm going to make a copy and I'm not sure if there's already an original, I'll timestamp it of the date that I'm doing it. So I would timestamp it 240408. So I know here's what it was before I made that change on that date. Now let's edit that file. We'll go ahead and use nano smb.conf. And it's not a super complicated file. Basically, it's a name in square brackets. That becomes the name of my share. And it's the path to this share. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and notice at the top, any line beginning with a pound sign is a comment line. So I'm going to add a comment line before I go to the bottom. Oh, I am right. So I do have ownership of this file. I'm going to put a little pound sign, shift pound sign, share created by JSmart for 8/24. Never hurts to add comments. Anyone else reading the file, if they see your comments, they'll love you for making notes about what you did. Okay, the name of my share, I'm going to call it public. That's what I put in square brackets. If I want a comment to go with it, that would be the description we see in Windows. I can say comment equals, and let's call it public share from Oracle 9.4 using Samba. And what else can we put in there? Path. This is the important thing. Where is the share file actually going to be set up? Well, I'm going to set it up over underneath home, and I'm going to use the name public. I like to capitalize my folder names. Now that file does not exist yet, so I better make a note in my mind. I need to make sure that that folder exists. And now some other things we can do here. Let's make read-only equals no. We want to be able to let anyone write to it. And let's make browsable equals yes. I'm not sure we actually have to, but I'm going to make browsable equal yes. And save that file. Under nano, Control-O writes the file. And
Control-Alt?
Control-O, see how at the bottom, Control-O? That's what that means.
Oh, okay.
Caret O, that means write out. Control-X means exit, so I'm going to do Control-X. If I want to go back and edit, or I want to see the end of that file, I can say tail smb.conf. If I don't want to edit it, but just see what was put in at the end, I can just do tail, and there I see the last 10 lines of any file. So I confirm that that's set up. Now here's a command that this guy mentions, I think. Test parm is a program we run just to verify that it's working. Oh, he doesn't show that command there. Let's run the program test parm, TST parm, for test parameters. Test parm, and it shows me the output of the settings for Samba. It does give me a few warnings that I'm using weak crypto. Question?
What was the command?
Just test parm, TESTPARM. Now, it does say that the path to public shared is supposed to be /home/public. Let's see if there's a file over there, ls/home. and I see that the only folder there is student. Well, I need to create a folder there called public in the home folder. I can create that right from here. I can say mcdir/home/public. That creates the folder over there in the home folder by the name of public. And because I want everyone to be able to write to it, I'm going to do a chmod, change the mod of that folder to have read, write, execute permission for everyone, user, owner, and group, to all have read, write permission of the file home public. Well, I'm not quite done. They explain this over here. I'm making the file. Oh, let's make sure now that we restart, now that we've made a change to that configuration, we need to manually restart that service. So let's go ahead and do a systemctl restart, and then the two services that run Samba, SMB, NMB. Those are the two services that I need to tell to restart. I'm going to try something. I wonder if I can just say restart Samba. Let's see if it'll complain if I say restart Samba. Thought I did that. Nope, it doesn't want to. He doesn't know about Samba, but he does know about the two services SMB. Now I could have restarted them one at a time by doing restart SMB and then restart NMB. So putting them in curly braces just allows me to restart them both on one line. And restarting services, you can do that as many times as you want. If they're working right, you shouldn't have a problem with the service. So anytime you're ever doubting a service, if it's got problems, you can always do systemctl, restart that service, see if it fixes my problem. And often it doesn't fix your problem, but it never hurts to make sure there aren't problems with it. Okay, so now we have Samba running, we have file sharing enabled, we have the services running, we have the firewall open, we have the configuration of where the share is going to be, that is called public, that's where it lives. We've created that folder, given it full public permissions. We're not done yet. We need to have credentials for someone remotely connecting to my Samba user by creating a special user for Samba. Samba's user list is different than your system user list. So we need to do add user -m meaning that user does not have a home folder. It's only for accessing and giving security credentials, so that's what the -m for. And we're putting in the name of the user is Samba user, and we don't have any login, so we have sbin no login. What this means is this user cannot do anything but file share. They are not going to be able to log in, which is an important security setting. They are not allowed to log in. They are only allowed to access shared files. I'm creating that user in the Samba system, but I'm not done yet. I need to give that user a Samba password using the smb passwd command for the user. I'm adding that password for the user whose name is Samba user. Just like these commands here show us. I'm going to type it in twice. I'm going to use my same insecure password I've been using all along, because this is just for testing. Now, just to make sure things are okay, we can run that test parm again. Hit enter to see my definitions. Yep, look, he hasn't complained. And it doesn't hurt to restart Samba, doing the restart command way that I did before. There is restart the two services, even though I don't think I really needed to, but in his example they explain that. We are almost done. One of the last things to do is another security measure, because Linux has gotten tightened up their security, they recommend doing this command now, setting the context of a particular file so Samba has permission to share that file. It's another one of those extra little precautions, and we have a different path than they are in their example. We're using home public. So I'm going to do this. chcon, because I don't need sudo because I'm user running as root, -r for recursively give it the context of Samba underscore share underscore t, and then the path to the folder that I want to have that context, and in my case it's home public. I like home public rather than mnt shared. Hit enter. This is, remember how we did the security settings when we were sharing a file in Windows? This is that same kind of thing, but we're doing that from the command line. Set the security, first of all, to have a user for access to it. That's going to be used when I do the map network drive. And now tell the system, yes, allow that context on that file to be changed over the network by Samba. Lots of extra steps we didn't have to do until people started hacking system and they had to make things more secure. Now we're not going to worry about re-enabling anything, so don't worry about all that. Now let's go and let's see. Let's try this and see what happens. I'm just curious to see what that does. I haven't done this command before. The se manage. Let's see what se manage does. Se manage minus our boolean minus L, and then we send the output and only listing the lines that have Samba in them. That's essentially what that's saying. Run this program with the parameters boolean -L. The vertical line means pipe the output to the command whose name is grep, which is a simple searching algorithm, which means only, and Samba means only show me the lines that have Samba in the line. Let's see what I get. I get some, see, notice how all the output of that line has Samba somewhere in that line, and it looks like I have the same type of output as are shown on that. So it seems it's giving me the same output. Basically all the permissions are off. Generally that makes me feel like Samba is not, if it gets hacked, it's not going to have any power to do anything. Now is the moment of truth. I have a share. My IP address is 172.16.2.128. To find out whether this share works, let's go to my Windows file browser. Windows file browser. And let's do a local, right click on this PC, map network drive. There's the address at the map 172.16.2.128. Well, that's what I need to put over here in the map network drive dialog, allowing the next letter to be assigned. 2 backslashes. The IP address 172.16.2.128 for mine. Now you may, is that my address? You may have a different address for yours. Making sure that's my address. Yeah, 2.128. And then backslash the name of the share, which I gave public. It's the name of the share. I'm going to check, click using different credentials, because remember I made that Samba user is the one that has permission. And now I click finish, and it should pop up. Okay, let's see, Samba user. Password is that same insecure password. If I want to remember it, so next time I don't have to type the password in where I can check remember. But let's try OK first to make sure it works. And it appears to be working. I see a map network drive public on that IP address. Let's verify that I can actually create a file in there. Let's create a new folder. We'll call it Manning or actually JSmart, that's who I am. JSmart was here. Hit enter, and it's thinking. It's supposed to create a folder with JSmart was here in it. Let's go over to this file and let's see what's over there. cd/home/samba. And uh-oh, I don't have that folder created yet. I thought I created it. Let's do it. cd home. Oh, that's right. I made it public. ls-al. Yeah, public is there. Let's do ls public. There it is. Boy, I don't know why it took so long. There it is. The folder got created, and there I see the folder. JSmart was here. I was getting worried. It took so long for that to get created. Let's try another one and see if it's going to take that long every time. New folder. I'll call JSmart2. And ls. Oh, cd public. ls. Yeah, much quicker. Go down into that folder. This time I'm going to create a new, let's create a new text document. Manning text. And now let's go down into JSmart2. There is the text file. So I can tell that Windows has access and is creating files on my Linux system. That was a lot of little steps, but all delineated and explained here in this little link I gave you. And I followed them as close as I can with a slight variation here and there. If I were doing this in detail, wanting to learn about this, I would try to see, did I really need to do that? What happens if I forgot this command? Will it give me access anyway? Or what will I just get, no permission, or will it just hang up on me when I try to access that file? For now, I'm happy to see that it all works. I could go back and turn on and off that firewall, turn on and off the service, and see what happens. But right now, I have proven that I now can share files from Linux to Windows. And except for the PuTTY thing, it still bugs me that PuTTY doesn't work. It didn't take that long. After you do it once, maybe after you do it 3 times, it'll be much quicker. The trickiest thing is that etc samba smb.conf file. Knowing that this file determines the particular permissions into the files, I can actually give permission to files only for particular users. So I can actually have individual folders belonging to specific users which they can access using the server message block. If you're into security, they generally do not trust server message block. It's been around for a while. There's vulnerabilities for man-in-the-middle attacks, but for convenience to be able to share files between systems, this is a very handy-dandy way of just mapping a drive, and it's visible right to anyone that just does the standard Windows map drive. So now I have proven that Linux now can share folders to Windows. We've already done the sharing Windows files to Linux systems, and so now we can share both directions. In your final project, you're basically going to be rebuilding systems and doing all this, plus other things in your final project, which is coming up in just a week and a half. All right, so that's it for today. This is all recorded in case you need